everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. Glad you guys are back for another video. Team number 11 on deck for the Indoor Football League. We're heading over to the Golden Coast, San Diego, California. We're going to take a look at the San Diego Strike Force, the darlings of last year. A playoff win, just making the playoffs. We're going to see if they can do that same thing again this upcoming season. But overall, they were playing with house money, and they made the most of it when it mattered. So, without further ado, let's go take a look at the San Diego Strike Force. All right, so San Diego Strike Force team information popping up here. Quite a few changes, quite a few things to talk about when it comes to San Diego. First of all, they are located now in Oceanside, California. I believe that is just a little bit north of San Diego. They are no longer playing in Pechanga Arena. They will be in the brand new Front Wave Arena. 7,500 for a capacity, and I believe the San Diego Sockers, the indoor soccer team, and I think maybe the G League team, the NBA G League or whatever it's called, I think they're playing there too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't bothered to look it up. I just know that the Strike Force are playing here. So brand new arena, they get to play in it. It's pretty cool. Head coach Taylor Genesser, he's done a really good job. Good signings when it comes to the coaching staff and rosters this past season. Adam Shackelford is coming over as a run game coordinator. Rod Miller, the former Massachusetts Bismarck Bucks head coach, is over here for the defensive side of the ball. They're looking to really stack the experience when it comes to the coaching game. Unfortunately, no championships to speak of for the Strike Force. They've only been around for a handful of years. So, that being said, not the best way to start, but they've come on strong as of last season. 10-6, losing in the Western Conference Championship to Arizona. They beat their in-state rival Bay Area in the first round to make it to the Western Conference Championship, to lose to the eventual champs. In the last few seasons, 6-9, didn't qualify. 3-13, did not qualify. Nothing in 21 as they went dormant, and 1-13 in 2019. So each season they have gotten better. Is that going to continue for this trend? Let's go find out. All right. Schedule popping up here, and I've harped on it with other teams. I feel like I haven't done enough of a job, but for San Diego, it just kind of reminded me. They're playing one team from the East and playing Bay Area 3 times, I believe. Northern Arizona 3 times. And I think those are the only 2 teams that they're playing 3 times. No, they play Vegas 3 times. So I understand travel is important. And I understand trying to keep travel costs low. I just wish they would have played maybe a home and home against Fishers, or maybe another Eastern Conference team like a Tulsa or something when it comes to travel. It's just, I'm not a huge fan of playing teams 3 times. I get the travel reasons and stuff. And I know I probably should have said that for a couple of teams that we've previewed before. But that being said, there's only so much you can do. I would prefer if you were able to open up the travel a little bit, but I get it. Taking a look at the schedule, though, you have a lot of Sunday games, and they kind of had that last season too. And you have a bye week to start, 3 games bye week, 9 games bye week, and then 4 games to end their season. That is kind of a brutal stretch. You get to figure out what you are for 3 games, including Vegas, not home and home, but there's a game between Bay Area in between that. So you don't play too many teams. You really only play one team twice, and then your in-state rival bye week. We'll see what you're made of. Then you got Tucson, Bay Area again. So really within your first 5 weeks of the season, you've only played 3 teams. So schedule kind of sucks when it comes to that. Northern Arizona at home, at San Antonio, home against Vegas, home against Northern Arizona again, at Tucson, at Northern Arizona, home against San Antonio. So again, it's just kind of the same teams over and over. And then at the end of the season, they play Arizona after that second bye week, July 12th, and then to end the season. So I wish they would have kind of shaken it up a little bit, but what can you do? I mean, like I said, that's the only thing that kind of gets me, is like they're just kind of playing the same teams over and over. And that's kind of what got me last year. They played Bay Area 4 times in the regular season, and then the 5th time, if I'm not mistaken, in the playoffs. They played Bay Area so many times. That's a quarter of their schedule. So like I said, I just wish they would have, found another team in the East, or I don't know. That's just me. That's just me griping. Overall, though, a lot of Sunday games, Sunday night games, so you'll be seeing them not necessarily standalone, but they will have their own window from time to time where you can actually just peek in and watch their specific game. They even have a couple, two Monday night games as well, so yeah, they will definitely have some standalone games to themselves. But overall, I do think this will be a much tougher schedule than what it was last year. Cat's out of the bag, you're good. Target's going to be on your back. So let's go take a look at that roster, look at the signings and re-signings. 3 questions. We go on. All right, roster popping up here, and a lot of signings. Re-signings, there have only been 5 players, 6 if you include Trayvon Van. We'll get to him in a second, but they have signed quite a bit of players when it comes to other teams. So they're kind of dispersing that talent from other rosters and kind of getting more of a diversified roster when it comes to that. All different schemes, all different things, and seeing what fits. Starting off, obviously, with just a man who refuses to quit. It's Nate Davis. I've said it multiple times. I love using the line, Father Time is undefeated, but he has never met Nate Davis. More of the same this year. And Rudy Johnson is right there to back him up, just like last season. Johnson actually started a game last year at the quarterback position. He is just a jack of all trades. He can run, he can catch, he can throw. He's just a Swiss Army knife. Dude is good. And Nate Davis, what can you say? You give him a second and a half to process the defense, that ball will be out of his hand and in wide receivers, just like that. I mean, it's more of the same when it comes to that. Trayvon Van is signed back from Vegas. He played with San Diego for a couple of games last season, but he is also re-signed. Here's hoping that a running game really develops for him this year. Hint, hint at a big question. And then they've got Larry McCammon from Florida Atlantic as one of their rookies. Huge turnover when it comes to the wide receiver position. Gone are your top 3 or 4 wide receivers, and are a whole bunch of others. Marquise Lawson from Vegas, Journey Sloan from Duke City, Dallas Daniels from Massachusetts, Drayshawn Hudson from Sioux Falls, and Mike Kerrigan is over from Tucson. Joe Nowden is also in here. He is a former Bay Area Panther, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he played last season, but a couple seasons ago he played. Elijah Harper is signed, and Stevie Johnson, the former Buffalo Bill wide receiver, amongst other teams. I think he played for the 49ers and a couple of others, but he has been so adamant about trying to get an indoor football team to Buffalo. I'm not trying to hijack San Diego's preview, but this will be a key thing. I'm almost positive he's going to make this roster. If he doesn't, then at least be an ambassador for the indoor league. The dude's doing work. So if you go look at his Twitter, I don't have an Instagram, so I hope he's doing well over there. But Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever socials he's on, he is advocating for Buffalo to get an IFL team. So kudos to him. If he makes this roster, if he balls out, awesome. You need more NFL kind of talent like that. Matt Elam, Nate Davis, all these draft picks, stuff like that. So awesome. Signing for the offensive line, Jalen Booth is back. Josh Castro is over from Bay Area. And then rounding it out, Robert Mitchell, Tyler Castaneda, Jake Sines, and Christian Olmstead. So a little bit of some offensive line shuffling. We'll see if rookies step up. You got to protect Nate Davis, because you don't want too many Nate Davis running alerts. If you do, something bad's happening. On the defensive side of the ball, they have Wallace Cowens from Northern Arizona, Israel Antwine from Massachusetts, Karat Garland, Jalen Joyner, and Jackson Cravens. So a lot of turnover on that defensive line as well. They had quite a bit of veteran leadership all over the field last year. Kind of lost a little bit of it this year. Merlin Robertson, Frederick Thompson, and Rashad Harding round out the linebacking core. Sherrod Williams, we'll talk about him in a second. Played every game last year. You got some holes to fill, some shoes to fill, whatever you want to say. But we'll see how each of those guys, if any of them make the cut, if something happens, we'll find out. Coming back for another season, Tycorian Brown and Atoa Fox. Very good season for Atoa Fox. Jericho Flowers is over from Vegas, so there's your returner since they've lost Elijah Lilly. And then Elijah Reed is over from Sioux Falls Storm. Again, very good season from Elijah Reed last year in Sioux Falls. One of the very, very few bright spots that the Storm had last year in a very no good, bad season. Tariq Lewis, Shredrick Kirk, Devious Chrisman, and Jaden Wickware round out your defensive secondary. So, last but not least, our kicker, Ernesto Lacayo. He is over from Duke City. What can you say about this man? There's a handful of good kickers in this league. Ernesto Lacayo is up there. If not, he's probably making a deuce right now as I'm speaking. Simple as that. The man is very, very good at hitting that two-pointer. Extra points and field goals leave a little bit left to be desired, but if you give this man a chance to kick it from their own goal line, chances are he's making that. So, what can you say? That's a good signing when it comes to the kicking game. I know they kind of struggle a little bit with kickers. Connor Mangan kind of helped with that and kind of settled that down partway through the season last year. So, solidified that. Overall, I do like this roster. I think it's going to bode pretty well. Offense kind of scares me a little bit. Offensive line kind of scares me a little bit. Defensive line leaves a little bit to be desired as well, so I do have some questions in the trenches. That linebacker position is going to be a big question mark for me. Hint, hint at the three big questions again. Non-active roster, Brandon Wellington and Derek Jones. Wellington on league IR, Derek Jones is suspended. So, with that, let's go take a look at our signings and re-signings. 3 questions, and we get on out of here. All right, key re-signings and key departures. I'm going to start it off with Rudy Johnson. I didn't know what position to put, so I put athlete, and it kind of shows. 7 completions, 109 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't know if he threw a pick. He did throw a pick, so yeah, 1 interception. I didn't write that down, but boo, 1 interception. 104 rushing attempts, 371 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns, 42 receptions, 351 receiving yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. Like I said earlier, just a jack of all trades. Put him anywhere on the field, he's going to do what he can to get the ball and make the moves that he needs necessary to do so. I mean, he is just all over the field. Put him in high motion, put him next to the quarterback, put him at quarterback. He's going to do what he can. So if he's up to the challenge again, I look for him to be all over the field once more. Defensive back Atoa Fox, 71.5 total tackles, 3 for a loss, 7 interceptions, and 11 pass breakups. Second team all-indoor football league at the defensive back position and the all-rookie team. This defense was very, very, very good last year. That secondary took the ball away like crazy. And what can you say about Atoa Fox? He came on really, really well. I'll be brutally honest, I did not necessarily expect too much from him, but he showed out. Simple as that. So, proven wrong once more. I'm always happy to be wrong. Not like I had high expectations or anything, but he did very, very well, all things considered. Signing over here, Elijah Reed from Sioux Falls, 94 total tackles, 6.5 for a loss, 2 picks, 8 pass breakups, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Good enough for second team all indoor football as well. So that secondary is really, really solidified with that. Jericho Flowers coming over, and Tycorian Brown. I'm not saying that those are the 4 that are going to start. You clearly have other players that want to make headway in that position, but if the secondary is just as good as it was last year, this defense is going to be stout. You also need a very, very good pass rush. We'll talk about a departure here in a second. But I do like what the defense has been able to sign. They have lost a bit of talent, but I don't know if it'll be up to the standard. They might take a step back, half a step, something along those lines. The defense should still be good. Key departures, wide receiver Arthur Jackson III, 64 receptions, 774 yards, 29 touchdowns, 3 kick returns for 12 yards. Now, when I interviewed him quite a few months ago, he will correct you when it comes to those stats. I'm getting these from the Indoor Football League website. They're not always super reliant, but I have to go based on what the stats kind of say. So I kind of merge them when I can, and sometimes some players do not get the right stats. So what can you do? Jackson was second team all-indoor football at the wide receiver position, and it has been a huge exodus of wide receivers, whether it's been him, Jordan Kress, Isaiah Cox. I think they had Hoodie Rogers for a second there, and then they cut him. And then there's been quite a few other wide receivers that they've gone through. Hopefully, with who they have signed, whether it's been Journey Sloan, Mike Kerrigan, Drayshawn Hudson, whoever the case could be, if that wide receiving core can step back up and do what they can, whether it's replacing Jackson, whether it's replacing Kress, Isaiah Cox, whatever the case could be, you need players that can catch the ball. You need players that can, I mean, it sounds simple, right? But the way that this team runs, unless they're changing it up, but a very high-powered passing offense, you need wide receivers that can catch the ball. You need some speedsters that will burn down the sidelines. That's why I kind of like Journey Sloan. That's why I kind of like Drayshawn Hudson. Kerrigan is a reliable pass catcher. And obviously Rudy Johnson will just be all over the place. Trayvon Van out of the backfield as well, too. So, defensive lineman, Jaquan Artis, second team all indoor football. Defensive line, 56.5 total tackles, 18.5 for a loss, 6.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 2 blocked kicks. Former defensive player of the year. That's a huge loss. And again, amongst that too, I believe they've lost DeVito Mwanga on the defensive line, VJ Mallow. And they've signed Wallace Cowens. They've signed Israel Antwine. But that defensive line was very good. I think they had Byron Cooper as well at one point too. And I know there's another one I'm blanking on. If I just can't remember. He was number 99. Javian Williams, right? Yeah. That defensive line was stacked. It was so good. And to lose Jaquan Artis, he was, a USFL, UFL talent? I mean, he went over to Houston, the Roughnecks, if I'm not mistaken, at one point, or signed with them, came back here. You're losing a very good talent. And again, it could be something where he just didn't want to play, and I'm not trying to blame or do anything, but yeah, it sucks to lose that talent. And I know players can step up, but Jaquan Artis was a very, very, very good talent for the last couple of seasons and back when he was with Northern Arizona. Finally, Sherrod Williams, 91 total tackles, 11 for a loss, 1 sack, 3 pass breakups, 1 fumble recovery, 1 blocked kick. Like I said, they don't really have a lot of experience in that linebacker position right now. Just based on D1 talent from Arizona State, I'd say Merlin Robertson is probably your best bet just based on the competition he's faced. Let's see, who else do they have? Because I thought they had someone else. Oh, yeah, Frederick Thompson from UNLV, and I guess Rashad Harding is from Liberty. They're FBS, too. I always think they're FCS. Anyway, yeah, they play in Conference USA. So I guess they do have D1 talent all throughout, but Sherrod Williams was something special. Played every single game last year. Just, you got to replace him. And it might be a learning curve, and it could be something along the lines where something doesn't start getting going until like game 5 or game 6, but we'll see. So I do have my concerns there, kind of on the defensive line too, but they signed what they could, so we'll see what they can do. That being said, let's go take a look at 3 big questions. We'll wrap it up. All right, 3 big questions. Question number 1, will there be more of an emphasis on a running game? So you've signed Trayvon Van back, which not necessarily a factor last year. He did pretty well in Vegas, but all things considered, there just wasn't really much of a running game for San Diego this year. They bring in Adam Shackelford, a long-time indoor football coach, head coach, coordinator, assistant, whatever. He's run the gamut as a run game coordinator. So that leads me to believe that they are going to look more towards a running game this season. Whether it's Trayvon Van, Rudy Johnson, if they do any jet sweeps with any wide receivers, remains to be seen. But I am curious to see if there's going to be more of an emphasis on a running game to help take some pressure off of Nate Davis and the passing attack. There are times where you just needed Nate Davis to throw it 40, 50 times and maybe eke out a win, but it was a very high-scoring affair. Maybe even some low-scoring stuff. I remember the Bay Area, like 33-30 game. You know, they're just, it was fun. You know, but anyway, I don't know. That remains to be seen. I really hope they get a running game going. I do, because if they don't, it'll just be more of the same. Which fine, but like I said, cat's out of the bag. They know how to defend it. 2, which wide receiver steps up to replace Kress, Jackson, Cox, etc.? Again, you sign quite a few players from different teams, whether it is Mike Kerrigan, whether it is Journey Sloan, Drayshawn Hudson, Dallas Daniels, whoever the case could be. Do any of these guys step up? Do any of the rookies step up? You've had some rookies step up last year for San Diego. We'll just see if we'll just see if it's more of the same, or if there are guys that really just start burning. And I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't concern me And obviously I left out Stevie Johnson too, so he's got more in the tank. But again, you've got talent there. Are you going to be able to replace Crest Jackson? Because that was a very good wide receiver trio. And even before that with Kentrez Bell, Carlos Thompson, Jordan Crest as well. I mean, they've always had good wide receivers. So I'm hoping for more of the same, at least when it comes to this entire wide receiving core. Final question here. Defense looks formidable, but can a linebacker step up? It's kind of like what I alluded to. Sherrod Williams leaves a big gap. You need a pass rush. You need him to blitz. You also need him to drop into coverage, whoever it is going to be. And with that defensive line needs to get after the quarterback. I've harped on it every single preview. New defensive rules. That linebacker can blitz outside of the alley. He can blitz up the middle. He can just go around the edge if there's a toss play. He's got to be all over the place. And you've got to figure out if that linebacker is going to do that. I have hope that they will. And we'll see who it is. So simple as that. We just kind of go from there. I'm really curious to see who wins it and how they go about it, because like I said, it could be a steep learning curve. It could take them a couple of games to get into a swing of things. So that is it for our 3 questions. Will there be a more emphasis on the running game? Which wide receivers step up to replace Jackson, Crest, and Cox? And the defense looks formidable, but can a linebacker step up? So there's some question marks for San Diego, don't get me wrong. Playoffs are not out of reach. I've said it previously in the San Antonio preview. I think these 2 teams are going to be vying for that 4th seed, maybe even that 3 seed. So let's go wrap everything up, get on out of here. And that is it for the San Diego Strikeforce 2025 preview. I don't know if they can replicate their success from last year. They will get close. But those couple of games towards the end of the year against Arizona, home and away, they play Bay Area. I think before their bye week, they play San Antonio. I don't know. That end of the season could be something that could hinge on the playoffs. And like I said, San Antonio is a huge wild card. I said that they're going to make the playoffs. I do think they're going to, but I also do not think Bay Area, Arizona, or Vegas really takes that big of a step back. Now, with that being said, nothing is set in stone. We don't have 25-man rosters. We don't know what everything looks like, so I can't guarantee anything. I think San Diego is going to challenge for the playoffs, just like they did last year, and they made it. And I think they're going to battle San Antonio. I do. I think those 3 seeds are kind of locked up with Bay Area, Vegas, and Arizona. And I know I said this in the San Antonio preview. I have San Antonio as the 4 seed right now in my own personal, rankings when it comes to that. San Diego is not far behind. So you will have 5 teams battling for 4 spots. Kind of have that in the East as well. Kind of have my mind made up there. So that's where I have them, unfortunately. I as of right now, I have San Diego on the outside looking in, but it's not by a lot. It's not by a lot. It's probably by a game. Looking at like a 10-6 versus 9-7, things can swing completely different ways. But that's kind of where I have them right now. Again, love to be proven wrong, but I am a little weary of the defensive line and the linebacker position. Offensive line too, if they can protect Nate Davis, we'll see. So there we have it. That's just kind of how I have it. Again, I love to be proven wrong. I am wrong all the time. Ask my wife. And we just go from there. So with that being said, I am going to call this one. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate everything. Thank you for everything. Again, like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever you guys want to do. It doesn't matter to me. With that being said, I'm going to take off here. Enjoy the rest of my night. You guys enjoy the rest of your night or morning when this will be uploaded. So with that being said, I'm taking off here, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Until then, see ya.